Hello, welcome to 11 Minutes. This is my third time re recording this today, and I previously had a different 11-minute episode recorded that I've decided to scrap. Because I was talking about something that I was really amped up about, but didn't have much information about that I wanted to, so the whole video was me going, but I don't really know, and I'm not really sure, so I didn't. I'd rather talk about that when I feel like I can talk about it confidently with my own opinions as well, which I have my own opinions. It doesn't matter. It's been a long work day, and so I don't know if I have the capacity to even talk about it right now, but I might. I might get into it. I'm just gonna let myself ramble first because it's been a long day. It's been a long week. I don't remember if I've already mentioned I'm in a new place. Don't worry about it. Next week I'll be back at the couch. Um, yeah, this is tiring. I'm tired today. But that's okay. Yeah. I think this is the first time I'm recording an episode, like, no, it's not the first time I'm recording it, like, in the moment when I have to post it. I guess normally I'd record earlier in the day, and this time I just haven't had time to record a re-recording, but that's okay. I guess I will talk about what I want to talk about in the other unshared 11-minute video, which is basically part of my job is about data protection and protecting people's data. So in the UK, it's about the GDPR, the UK GDPR. So I do like training and workshops and all these things about personal data and data protection laws and how different laws are coming into place and affecting people and companies. And so I kind of take all of that in that wide scope and narrow it down to how it applies to the company that I work for, as like a small one side of my job. And there's this new thing coming about, not new, but it's a thing that's been like hopping about over here called consent or pay. And it's this idea of online on websites, is basically you either allow companies to sell your data to third-party companies so you can access their website, or you pay that website a subscription to access it. And if you don't want to pay or you don't want to give your consent, then just don't use it, is kind of the thinking around that. Which, like, in theory, it makes sense, I think, in some circumstances. It started, I think the origin comes from like magazines, newspapers, and how like the physical form is dying, and people can reject, the use of cookies and stuff, but then it's preventing these companies from making money to keep running and all that stuff. And so this idea of consent or pay came into play. So you consent to let them sell your data and you can access the website, or you pay for them to not do that, but you still get to access it with a monthly subscription. So I think in smaller cases like that, it kind of makes sense. You're paying for a service, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's weird to put your personal data in that mix. Yeah. So basically, what's gotten me amped up is recently the UK's governing body of data protection has basically okayed Facebook to start doing this as well. So it's basically they'll use your data and sell it so that targeted marketing ads can be put on your profile and put in front of you. If you don't want that, then you pay Facebook a monthly subscription, and then so it's like, okay, so you either have to pay them or you have to let them get paid using your personal data, or that other option, you don't use it. However, Facebook is so intrinsically connected to so many things, especially online, that like it's a very skewed perspective and not cool, I would say. I think the whole thing about data protection and everything that I've been taught is very much we have to be able to give our explicit willing consent to other people to use, store, process our data. And like that's just like because we have a right to our data and keep it safe and secure, and it's and so when we give it to someone else, it's also their responsibility to keep it safe and secure and all that stuff. So we have the right to that. This idea of consent or pay is not really a consenting thing. It's a very coercive thing of, well, you either give us your data or you pay us money. You know, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like a threat. It sounds like the tax man is coming and is going to burn your house down if you don't give him money in the most inflammatory way. That's just so. Reading those news, I got like an email last week that was like, oh, we've approved this thing, and I was like, you did what? Because it just really, especially with Facebook, it sets a precedent for other companies to do this, and it just doesn't feel like a good direction. It's just really odd. It feels very unsettling and such a niche thing to be aware of that like other people aren't necessarily aware of in like the general population, and it just feels like I'm like watching something where I'm like I can see this isn't a good idea. And there feels like it's almost like a point of no return kind of thing of like this can't be good. Yeah. And like yeah, I'll say once like I am newer to these types of regulations and learning about data protection and all that stuff. So like I'm like just starting off. I've been doing it for like a year and a half. So like I've got training. I've been doing things to kind of gain my knowledge on it, but it is newer to me, and I don't have that network or connection of people to really talk to, bounce ideas off of, learn from in that way. So if anyone is listening that is in this world and wants to talk, I would love to, because I'm just interested in like other people's thoughts, opinions on this, because it's just really interesting and like worrying, but so I did some like further digging in to this after recording this first version of this, just to see people's thoughts. And like I was like, the only place I can really look on this is like LinkedIn. I think that's where people would talk about this, is on LinkedIn. And so I was looking at that, and like I did come across a lot of people that were like have the same thoughts and feelings about this as I do, which was like comforting in the sense of, okay, so my thinking and thought process is sound. Like I'm like reading things going, I don't think this is right, but I'm worried that I'm misunderstanding what it actually means. But no, it's just something that's not right but is happening. Which is just, yeah, I'm hoping that like I want to find ways to like, if there's a way to like push back on that in a way, to just feed back and be like, that's not, I don't know, it's not consent, you know? Like it's very predatory, you know? It's very like this idea of consent is like there's so many parallels to that, and it's like if you don't understand the idea of free consent, it's just wild that we're just kind of skewing this idea of what consent is, because it's like you either have to allow someone to use your data, which like in the grand scheme of things, I don't like, this is the part where I don't necessarily know enough about like the selling of your data to third-party companies. I know it's a thing, but I don't know what that means, the intricacies of it. That's the thing that I need to look more into. But like there's something about it that doesn't seem right, doesn't feel right. So it's like you either allow someone to take your data, because like there's a part of that that's not secure, you know, like your things can get sold to like 300-400 vendors, and I'm like, you have to then look into the security of each of those vendors to see if they're okay. It's just like, it's weird. So many data protection questions I gotta ask Facebook. And so it's like either, yeah, you allow your data to be taken away, or you have to pay someone. It just feels very coercive, predatory, like, I don't know. And like this idea of, well, if you don't want to use it, or if you don't want to do either of those things, then don't use it. It's just, it can't, like Facebook is too ingrained and too large and universally accessed to like do that in that system. And like I've seen an argument of like, well, you're paying for a service, so like, but I'm like, you've got enough money. I think you're good. We've been running, how long has Facebook been alive? 20 years? Little less? You've been running fine. That's just my candid thought. um, yeah. So that's really my thoughts. That's what's been weighing on me this week, and like just a lot. The fickleness of the internet uh is really tiring, and I'm trying to, I think this week I need to like step back from the internet a little bit more than I have been. Um but yeah, it's crazy out there. I hope you're all taking care of yourselves. Stand up for people, stand up for what's right. Uh do what you can and what's best for you and others.